Hello everyone, and welcome back to how many different unoptimal ways can we play Pokemon and still succeed? Today, I'm actually going to be able to use a full team, as I'm going to answer the question, can you beat Pokemon Red and Blue only using normal type moves? Hardcore edition. Let's get the obvious rule out of the way first. I can only use normal type moves. That's including status moves. So for example, a move like Growl is okay, but I can't use Thunder Wave. Normal type moves can't deal super effective damage to any type. Rock resists it, and Ghosts are immune. This should be interesting, but I feel like just limiting myself to normal type moves would still be a little too easy. So, I'm gonna add some extra rules that are common in hardcore Nuzlocke. No items in battle, the game will be played on set, and no over-leveling. And by over-leveling, I mean my team cannot be stronger than the upcoming gym leader's ace. For example, Brock's Onix is at level 14, so my team cannot be higher than said level until I defeat Brock. Now that we're up to speed, please hit that subscribe button, and let's begin. First, I have the ever-important decision of picking my starter. I decided to go with Charmander as it knows a move of 100% accuracy and Scratch, while the other two know Tackle, which isn't. Plus, it does learn some more useful moves later on in comparison to the other two. Then my rival challenges us. As per usual, it doesn't matter if I win or lose this one, but I did walk away the winner after scratching the crap out of his Squirtle. After getting Oak's parcel, I buy a few Pokeballs and get catching. I first catch a Rattata. After that, I grab a Nidoran, male, and a Caterpie, evolving the latter into Butterfree as quick as possible. Once I grind my entire team level 14, I make my way to Pewter City and challenge Brock. I leave a Charmander who growls his Geodude to lower his attack as much as possible. Since Geodude knows Defense Curl, I don't bother trying to lower his defense as well. I switch in Rattata who takes out with Hyper Fang. When he sends out Onix, I switch in Charmander and repeat the process. I then switch back to Rattata and start chipping away. When it goes for Bide, I take the chance to use Tail Whip to lower his defense. A few Hyper Fangs later, Onix goes down and I grab my first badge. I enter Mount Moon where I catch a Clefairy. I enter Cerulean where I come across my rival. My recently evolved Nidorino takes out his Pidgeotto and Abra, Clefairy takes out his Rattata, and my Rattata finishes off his Squirtle. My next task in Cerulean is Misty. Raticate one-shots Misty's Staryu, and then get Starmie down to about 1/3 health before going down to a crit. I then send out Clefairy who just manages to knock it out, and I grab my second badge. Next I head to the SS Sand where I catch my rival practicing his French. Bonjour Bleu, comment ça va? Charmeleon takes out his Pidgeotto and Raticate. I then switch out because I don't want to be over leveled for Surge. I send out Raticate who takes out his last two Pokemon. Lieutenant Surge is my next opponent. Butterfree takes out his Voltorb, but falls to Pikachu. I send out Nidorino, and it finishes the job. Badge 3 is mine. I head to Celadon where I climb the top floor of the highest tower and grab the EEVEE who was just left in the middle of the classroom. At least the guy there was okay with me taking it. I immediately teach it Bide. I'll explain why in a bit. Along with my new team member, I head to the game core and exchange money for some coins. But I don't quite have enough to get the item that I want, so I head to the basement to fight some rocket grunts. I also find some useful items like the TM for Horn Drill and Double Edge. Before I take off to the Celadon gym, I decide to pay Giovanni a quick visit. I leave with Clefairy who puts his Onix to sleep. I then send out Raticate to finish the job. Out next is Rhyhorn, for which I switch in Charmeleon to lower its attack. Once its attack is lowered, I switch back in Raticate who takes it out. Then Fearow, who I caught before I headed into Rock Tunnel, takes out his Kangaskhan. Now it's time to challenge Erica. Fearow takes out Victory Bell, Charmeleon beats Tangela to a pulp, and Raticate gives me the victory of Hyper Fang to Vileplume. I make my way back to Lavender Town to enter Pokemon Tower, and to face off against my rival. Charmeleon takes out his Pidgeotto after getting 2 crits in a row. Charmeleon then takes out Growlithe after getting another 2 crits in a row. What luck. Charmeleon then takes out his Execute and Kadabra, critless, and I switch in Clefairy when my rival sends out Wartortle. Charmeleon's health was getting pretty low. Clefairy doesn't start well, missing 3 double slaps in a row. It does start to pick up towards the end, and when my rival could have taken out my Clefairy, he instead makes Wartortle go for Tail Whip, giving me the chance to finish it off and grab the win. Now comes a question I'm sure some of you have been asking. How am I going to get past Pokemon Tower? I have some unavoidable challengers I have to battle who only have Ghost-type Pokemon, and since this is pre-ability era, I can't take advantage of things like Scrappy either. Well, I have a couple answers. My Fearow knows Mirror Move. Mirror Move copies the previous move used by my opponent. Technically, a normal type move that gives me the ability to copy moves of other types. But I feel like the comment section would be a war zone if I did that. So I went with another, much more tedious plan. Yep, in case you didn't know, Bide, that otherwise useless TM that Brock gives you, hits ghost types. It is the only normal type attacking move that can hit ghost types, if you don't take into account moves like Mirror Move or Metronome. You can't even use Struggle to hit ghosts in this generation. I have no idea why Bide works, but since this is Gen 1, I'm guessing someone fell asleep at their desk and forgot to make Bide immune to ghosts. In later generations, Bide would be immune to ghosts. But hold on, ghosts only know Lick and Nightshade, right? They can't hit you, right? Lick can't, but Nightshade can. Hey, those programmers had to work long hours. You can forgive them for making a couple of errors. However, much like Bide, Nightshade will become immune to normal types from Generation 2 onwards. Now I just gotta hope that during my Bide charging turns, the challengers actually attack me instead of using a move like, oh, I don't know, Confuse Ray? It's all luck here, and it does take a while. But I eventually make it to the top, defeat the ghost of Marowak, and save Mr. Fuji. Though I have to ask, would you consider Mirror Move, or even Metronome in a run like this acceptable? Let me know in the comments, or you can just type, I appreciate you doing this the hard way. Your choice. Once I grab the Pokeflute, I wake up the Snorlax by cycling road and catch it. I also caught a Doduo along the way as it learns Tri-Attack later on. Then I rush towards Safari Zone. Once I complete the main story stuff, I wander around until I eventually come across a Tauros, the best non-legendary Generation 1 Pokemon. After a few failed attempts, I eventually catch one. With my team complete, I head over to Silphco to grind up my team in preparation for the next gym challenges. Both Sabrina and Koga's aces are at level 43, so I figure I'd go into Koga's battles slightly underleveled. I don't want to risk over-leveling one of them by mistake. When my Charmeleon hits level 33, it learns Slash, a normal type move with a high crit rate. In Generation 1, high crit moves are almost guaranteed a crit. Also, I didn't catch a Meowth because I'm playing this on red and Meowth is a blue exclusive. I also take the time to pick up the TM for Sword Stance, which my recently evolved Charizard can learn. This, and another TM, I'm hoping, will play a major role later on. I eventually make it to my rival. Raticate, to my surprise, almost sweeps his entire team, with Blastoise only hanging on just a sliver of HP. I send Dugtrio to deal the finishing blow. As my rival leaves Silphco, I head up to my meeting with Giovanni. Dugtrio takes out his Nidorino and Kangaskhan with many Fury attacks. When Dugtrio is taken out by Rhyhorn, Charizard comes out and finishes off his Rhyhorn and Nidoqueen after a few slashes. With Team Rocket on my hair for now, I head back to Fuchsia and challenge Koga. My Tauros destroys his entire team. I admit, I was disappointed when Tauros got poisoned early on, and I didn't get any paralysis hacks with body slams. But thanks to some crits, I sweep his entire team with over half health. Before my next gym battle, I make a pit stop at the Celadon game corner to exchange some coins I bought for TM15, Hyper Beam, which I teach to Charizard. It won't be Stab, but Hyper Beam with a Sword Stance boost is something to fear. I test out my new TM against Sabrina. I start by setting up a Sword Stance. I was gonna try for 2, but Kadabra's Secret Lord might special, so a second one would have taken me out for sure. But one Sword Stance is all I need as Charizard sweeps Sabrina's entire team. In case you don't know, if you feint your opponent in Generation 1 with Hyper Beam, you'll skip the recharge turn. And yes, this was also fixed in Generation 2, which is why Hyper Beam is very rarely used competitively after Generation 1. And it's a similar story against my battle with Blaine. This time, I give myself a +6 in attack while he wastes a turn giving a potion to a full health Growlithe. Once my attack is maxed out, I spam Hyper Beam. I did miss once, but besides that minor annoyance, I grab my 7th badge. Finally, we have one more round with Giovanni. This time, I lead with Tauros. I use Leader to lower his defense until he pops a guard spec on his Rhyhorn, which protects it from status moves. But one is all I need as Tauros knocks out his Rhyhorn with 3 body slams. His Dugtrio, Nidoqueen, and Nidoking all fall to a pair of body slams. Then for his last Pokemon, Rhydon, I use the leader strategy. This time, I get 3 leaders in before Giovanni uses Guard Spect. It wastes his next few turns using Fissure, which won't affect me because I'm faster, giving me the chance to take it out after a few more body slams. Now that I have all 8 badges, I head over to the Indigo Plateau. But first, my rival wants another shot at me. My Charizard is once again the MVP of this match. I use Swords Dance and max out his attack, and then get to work with Hyper Beam. I did have a minor hiccup when Hyper Beam missed his Execute, giving it the chance to use Stun Spore and Leech Seed. But despite losing 3 turns in a row to Paralysis, Charizard manages to hang on and sweep my rival's entire team. I have one more thing I need to do before I can challenge the Elite Four. Another long grinding session in Victory Road. Now you may be thinking, how's the no overleveling rule going to work against the Elite Four? Well, according to the hardcore rulebook, my team cannot be stronger than the final Elite Four member's strongest Pokemon. So my team will be slightly overleveled in this part, but I'll be slightly underleveled against the champion. With hours of grinding behind me, it's time to meet and defeat the Elite. Let's go. First up is Lorelei. Tauros takes out her Dewgong, but gets an attack drop after getting hit with Aurora Beam. I switch in Snorlax, and I get yet another attack drop from Aurora Beam. Snorlax manages to take out Cloyster. Slowbro is out next, and I switch back Tauros, who gets yet another attack drop from Growl. I cannot catch a break here. I decide screw it and start spamming Horn Drill. On my 5th and last try, it lands and takes it out. I then send out Raticate to take out her Jinx and Lapras. Next up is Bruno. I send out Raticate for his 2 Onyxes. My Raticate knows Super Fang, which deals half damage depending on the remaining HP. So if a Pokemon's at full health, it'll do half. If it has half left, it'll do a quarter, and so on. Once it's weak enough, I finish off with either Hyper Fang or Double Edge. Dodrio takes out the Hitmonbros, and Charizard takes out Machamp. Agatha was not fun. I knew I have to rely on Bide, but of course, I can't control what moves my opponent will use. I have to avoid hitting myself in confusion, getting put to sleep, having my dream eaten, or even potentially getting poisoned. If things do not play out a certain way, I will not be able to get past her. Not only that, I need each of her ghosts to hit me twice to have enough power to take them out. This is the reason why I evolved my EEVEE into a Vaporeon. Since I couldn't get Snorlax until after Pokemon Tower, this was the Pokemon with the highest HP stat that I could get a hold of. However, in this battle, I discovered something by accident. Ghost types can also get hit with Super Fang. With that, the total usable attacking moves I know now went up to 2. I'm still at the mercy of RNG, but instead of getting hit 6 times, with Super Fang, it's down to 3. Bring them down to half health, and finish them off with Bide. It's a lot easier said than done, mind you. I gotta hope in my charge up turns I get hit with Nightshade and don't hit myself in confusion or get put to sleep. I never want to risk Vaporeon getting hit with Nightshade on the Switch, so I send in one of my other Pokemon as Death Fodder, all the while hoping I'll get hit with the Hypnosis Dream Eater combo. It takes a while, but I eventually get the luck I need to finish off Agatha. Rounding off the Elite Four is Lance, and Tauros must have eaten some spinach during my battle with Agatha, because it completely demolishes Lance's team. Gyarados goes down with 2 attacks, Lance's Dragonairs both went down in 1, Aerodactyl fell after 3, and Dragonite was knocked out after 2. Tauros' health was in the red by the end, but that's more than enough for me. Only one more battle standing between me and Infamy, the champion, my rival. I figured I'd use the Pokemon that started it all, Charizard. I start by setting up Swords Dance. I was going to do 3, but then I saw Pidgeot's charging Sky Attack, so I Hyper Beamed it before it could attack. Plus 2 is still very good. Strength one-shots Alakazam. Then Rhydon comes out, and here's where I set up my last 2 Swords Dance. I knew it didn't know any moves that could hit me super hard, but even at plus 6, Strength was still a 3-hit KO. Exeggutor goes down to a single attack, as does Arcanine. Only one Pokemon left. Blastoise. And the worst happens. I land a crit. How's a crit a bad thing, you may ask? Well, crits ignore stat boosts. That's why I never use Slash after a stat boost. Thanks to the crit, Blastoise lives it and lands a Blizzard. Thankfully, I don't get frozen today. As my rival tries to heal up his Blastoise, I go for another Hyper Beam. This time, it doesn't crit, and I one-shot it. And dear viewer, I have beaten the original Generation 1 games only using normal type attacks in battle. Looking back, if I hadn't discovered that Super Fang hits ghosts, I probably would have called this challenge a failure under the hardcore rules. What worked out in my favor when I wasn't facing ghost types is how OP normal type Pokemon are in Generation 1. They do get nerfed going forward, but here, they're the cream of the crop, yeah. The biggest question I had to answer was, could I get past the ghosts? And with that being said, it's time to put the Game Boy down. My name is Jeffrey Yuri, Complete Normie, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.